What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Peter-Patzer rating climb. Someone had requested that I play some Stonewall and Owens defense openings, so I'm going to do that for this episode. Now, 2-minute lesson, okay? Literally 2-minute lesson on what these openings are. The Stonewall is something you play as white with d4, e3, bishop d3, f4, c3. So you're going to set up your pawns like this. You're going to bring out your knight. You're going to castle. And then usually you either sink your knight in the center, maybe you attack on the king side. You can bring your queen over here. You can use this knight if you need to. Sometimes we will even reroute our bishop around to this side. You're going to see more as we get into the games, but that's basically what the Stonewall is. It's a very solid setup with white, but also kind of aggressive in a lot of cases as well, okay? And for black, let me flip the board reset. We're going to play the Owens defense where we go e6, b6. We fee and kettle the bishop here. And a lot of times, white's doing something like this. They're getting their pieces out or whatever. We're going to be playing bishop b4 and putting a lot of pressure on e4. We can attack it with our knight. We can play d5, castle, whatever. That's basically the idea, okay? So we're going to see these in action. I just wanted to give you the 2-minute lesson so you know what to expect. Hey guys, sorry to interrupt the video, but I just wanted to remind you that my Breaking 1500 course goes into a lot more detail on these two openings, the Stonewall and the Owens defense, as well as other stuff as far as tactics, middle game strategy, endings, not blundering, all kinds of things like that. So check the link in the description if you want to learn more about that. Now, back to the rating climb. Okay, so having said that, let me go back here and we will start the first game. We are 880, all right? So for the Stonewall, starting with d4, and I think my sounds are not on. Let me fix that. Sorry about that. Where is it at? There we go. Okay, sound should be on. Aha. So I said I was going to play the Stonewall, but our opponent is immediately playing the England Gambit. And the Stonewall against this doesn't really make sense because we're just going to be allowing them to take. Now, we could still do it, but against the England Gambit, you kind of just have to take the pawn. It's just not a great opening for black if you know what you're doing as white. So we will take the pawn. Now, it is tricky. So we'll see if our opponent knows the trap. Okay, so they're going to go here. Let's defend our pawn. And if they play queen e7, this will be a very interesting and instructive game. I don't know how much they know about this opening. Okay, there you go. So queen e7, this is sort of setting a trap for us if we don't know what's going on. And the trap has to do with this queen to b4 check move. Okay, and the idea is if we bring out our bishop, they're going to come here and fork us. And if we're not careful, we could fall into trouble. Now, if you know what you're doing, it's fine, but you have to know what you're doing. So let's go bishop f4, and I'll show you what I believe is the correct way to play against this. So we're going to see queen b4. And if we play queen d2, by the way, they're going to take here, and then we have all sorts of problems with the bishop coming to pin us and our rook. It's a bad situation. So the best thing to do is go back with the bishop. And when they take you, you don't play bishop c3. Yeah, our opponent has studied this, right? You don't play bishop c3 because they're going to pin us. And it's a pretty good position for black. So what you do is you play knight to c3. And the reason this is good for us is because now black has spent a lot of time running their queen around. And we are getting into a position to take advantage of that. We have rook b1 ideas to attack it. We also have knight b5 ideas at probably after this move where we might be attacking the queen. We also might be threatening this fork. Knight d5 ideas. So there's a lot of things that this queen has to be careful about. I think there's even some crazy like a3 followed by knight a4 actually traps the queen in some cases. Not right now because we need the bishop controlling that. But there's a lot of problems for the black queen. Okay, so this is really all you have to remember against the England Gambit. As long as you don't fall for the trap and play bishop c3 instead, or the queen move like I showed. But if you do this, you're going to be in a great position. And you can see now our opponent's, not sure what to do. So yeah, I think rook b1 is going to be the next thing, and then probably knight b5 or knight d5. Maybe even just pushing this pawn up, getting the bishop out is also good. But let's see how they respond first. Okay, so they go back. So yeah, my first instinct is, can I take advantage of this square? Okay. So there's two moves with the knight that would attack it. This one, hopefully you can notice, is not a good option because then we just lose our knight. But this one looks pretty good. We attack the queen. We also attack the queen this way. So it's a double attack on the queen. Not that we really need to, but it's just something to point out. And so where can the queen move that defends this square? Because that's really my follow-up threat, the fork, right? Well, let's think about it. A5 would defend. Nope, not an option. Our bishop's there. Okay, B6 would defend. Nope, not an option. My knight's there. D6 would defend. Nope, not an option. My pawn is there. So I'm fairly certain, unless I'm missing something, knight d5 just wins the exchange here. Or at least wins the exchange, maybe even wins the rook, depending on if we can get our knight out of there. So already we see black has gone wrong here. And I think they're just in a bad position. If you know what to do against the England gambit, it's just good for white. The problem is not a lot of people know this. And so I imagine our opponent has gotten a lot of quick wins playing this, but not today. All right. So yeah, I don't really know. I guess they're going to go like queen c5, but we're just going to jump in and just start taking everything. Okay, they go back. Interesting. So we could play rook b1 now, or we could save that move for later. I don't know that it matters too much if I should do this first or go with the fork first. There's also bishop c3, but then, actually bishop c3 is interesting, attacking the queen. I don't really know if I need to do that. I think rook b1 takes. Yeah, let's not overthink it. I guess let's just, we'll just throw it in there. Why not? I think it's a useful move because it puts my rook on a more active file. Even though I'm losing a pawn, I'm okay with that. And at the end of this, I'm still going to get my fork and get the rook. Okay, so we'll do that. I assume black's going to take this pawn. I mean, they don't have a lot of options. Either have to go there or there, I think. So all right, now we can go in with the fork. We're going to get the rook. Very good. Okay. Queen goes back to the center. So what should I be thinking about in this position? Well, if I could get my knight out, I would. I can't at the moment. So I think we just have to wait on that. This piece looks pretty active. This bishop's not too bad. I do have some checks. Now, there's one thing about the position that maybe you noticed, maybe you didn't notice. It has to do with this queen. Maybe you guys can tell me. That's correct. The queen is in line with my queen, right? And I didn't actually notice this immediately, but as I'm sort of scanning and thinking about what to play, it hit me. The queen is undefended, and it's in line with my queen, which means if I could move my bishop with a check, what would I be able to do to black's queen? That's right, I could just take it. So here, right? Wrong. Then the queen saves itself and takes my bishop. But here is a different story. There is a check, and now I can take the queen. And by the way, if they bring the knight defending the queen, what should I do? That's correct. Take the queen anyway because the knight is pinned. Do not take the knight because then they take back with their knight and it does save their queen, right? So we just take the queen and take advantage of the pin. Okay, there you go. Now, one more thing I was going to show you. If they would have moved their king here, I had an even more powerful move than taking the queen. Knight to c7 would have been checkmate because the bishop's slicing across the front with the king. I wouldn't have even had to take the queen. But they go here, so it's a pin, and so we simply take the queen. Okay? So whenever somebody moves a piece, guys, that is in line with a long-range piece, even if there's pieces in between, you always want to start looking for tactics. That's like a clue that like, okay, there might be some tactics here, right? And it worked out in my favor that I had a bishop g5 available, okay? So what's the threat of f6? My bishop, right? No, the big threat is they blocked the pin. So the big threat is my queen, okay? I mean, yeah, the bishop too, but this is a bigger threat. Now, I could move the queen, obviously. Probably queen a5 is a very good move. Maybe even queen here or here to sneak in for the checkmate on c7, right? At some point, I guess the knight defends, so it's not checkmate. But there's also this idea of taking, sacrificing my queen, because then I go here with a check, and guess what? I'm going to get my queen back and get a rook. So I think this is actually a good move. Let's take it. This is a tactic if you have a pawn with a bishop behind and you're able to take. Yep, he's going to go for it. You not only can capture their rook, but because the pawn is promoting, you get a queen too, right? So that's exactly what we're going to do. I think any reason to go here, it's almost checkmate, but they could block, so it's not checkmate. So yeah, we have to take it. And there's the check. Okay, they go back. So what should I do? Take the rook, right? Well, you need to ask yourself the question, which one is better? I mean, normally a rook is better than a bishop. I'm going to be getting a new queen in both cases, but this one actually attacks the king. Well, where's the king going to move? Oh, wait a second, not here. So this is actually the better move, and it ends the game. And I could even get a rook, and it's still checkmate. Okay, so that's kind of cool. Promote to a rook. All right, check the game review. And our opponent actually had the opening kind of, we played a perfect game pretty much. Wow, 98. Okay, that's great. So yeah, just to recap, this is very instructive. Against the England gambit, you should play bishop f4, drop back, knight c3. If you remember this, you're in good shape, right? They played here. Knight d5 was the best move. Okay, it didn't like rook b1. It liked capturing first. Actually, no, now it's changing its mind. It does like rook b1. Then we go here. I'm trying to see if there was a slight mistake. No, I don't think so. I think we did everything. This was maybe the questionable move. Stockfish would have played queen a5 instead of this. But okay, I think this worked out very nice for us. And then, of course, the checkmate with the rook. Okay. All right, let's go to the next game. Let me update the wins here. Okay, we get white again. So let's try again. See if we can actually get a stonewall this time. d4. All right, there we go. So now we can play a legitimate stonewall. So we'll play e3. And I'm going to try to get my bishop here right away. Perfect. And the reason I like to develop the bishop first, which is kind of going against the principles in chess, is this bishop a lot of times will go here. So if I can get my bishop there first, I take that option away. And yeah, they're more likely to maybe block it in, which is going to be probably better for me. This bishop's going to be very effective here. If they get their bishop there first, then they have the option to trade. I don't really want to trade these pieces off if I can avoid it. That's why we go here first. If you remember, we had our pawns like this. So I'm going to play f4, just get a clamp on that e5 square, make sure that I don't let them push that. If they ever attack me here, I'm going to be playing c3 because I want my bishop to have a place to drop back and stay on this diagonal. That's an important detail of the stone wall. And sometimes it's annoying when they jump in here. And so what you can do to prevent that is play a move like knight to d2, which I think I will play now. I'm good on e. They're not able to play e5, so I don't have to worry about that. I want to stop the knight from jumping in because that could be an annoying move. So we'll go ahead and take that away now when they just lose a pawn. And now I'm pretty much ready to continue. c3, knight f3 castles, and then you're going to get to see how we get to attack. So let's play knight f3. I don't need to play c3 just yet because they haven't really attacked me over here at all. They played h6. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and castle. And I might play c3 now, even though I don't necessarily have to. It's one of those moves that, you can just go ahead and play it and just solidify everything if you want. Or you can start attacking. So, yeah, I mean, since I don't really need to, maybe I will just go on the offensive. So knight e5. We have this square for our knight. It does a couple of things. Obviously, centralizes the knight, controls a bunch of squares in enemy territory. Also lets out my queen, which you will notice could be useful. And so now there's a couple ways we can do this. Option one, you can always do a rook lift. Rook up and over, something like this to generate an attack this way. Option two, you can bring your queen by sliding it over and then you can come here or here is another way. Option three, you can push this pawn and try to play like g5. You can just kind of throw these pawns forward is also an option if you want to be really aggressive. So lots of ways. So let me think which one's going to be the most effective in this position. If my rook was here, what would I be threatening anything? Not really right away. So I don't know that it's worth spending 2 moves to put the rook there. If my queen was here, would I be threatening anything? Not really right away. Now, if my queen was on h4, I could play this, and that would be pretty dangerous because once we chase the knight away, we would have checkmate. Okay, so I do like that. The other one of just pushing the pawn right away, if they take, I take, the knight has to move, and then we jump to h5. That might even be the best because I don't waste time spending 2 moves to get my queen here. I can immediately go to h5, okay? And you might think, Nelson, you're spending an awful lot of time like trying to figure out these little details. Well, yes, exactly. Chess is a game of details, and sometimes, I say like, oh, it's just going to be a little bit faster. Sometimes one extra move is all you need to win the game, right? So it's very important that you think through this. So g4, if they take me, I don't really care. I take back. This is still defended, and I'm happy with that. g5, And the fact that this pawn is here is actually fine because it's going to force me to be able to open up the king. So yeah, I'm going to do it. Let's go g4. And this is pretty aggressive, but this is kind of one way you can play the stonewall. You just attack on the king side. You get your pieces in position, and then you go, right? And you attack, and that's what we're going to see here. Stonewall is one of those weird openings where you leave these pieces back, but you have so many other effective pieces that a lot of times you can checkmate with just these pieces, and you don't actually need the other ones. Sometimes they do come into the game, and if I wanted to play a little bit slower, maybe I could have, done some maneuvering, but that just takes a long time. This is very quick and immediate, and I like that. Okay, now they play c5. Okay. So the normal response when they play c5 is you would play c3. And I'm definitely thinking about doing that because once they go here, I don't want my bishop to have to leave this diagonal. This is where it needs to be. Now, in this particular position, I could probably think about g5, takes. If they move their knight back, immediately go queen h5 and maybe get away with ignoring this. If they push right away, I take a knight, they take a bishop, I take here. Yeah, I mean, I think we should play c3. This bishop is just so valuable in the attack. Yep. I think it's absolutely worth it. And I'll just drop it back. Okay, and you can see this is exactly where I want it. Now, I could have gone to b1, but then my rook is definitely trapped forever, or not forever, but for a while. The benefit of going to b1 is I could play queen c2 and create this checkmate battery this way. But since it already looks like my queen's going to be able to get to h5 pretty comfortably, I don't think I'm going to need that. So I'll put it here and make it a little easier for my rook to come into the game. Okay, they do take here. So as a general rule, you're going to take with the f pawn because it opens up your rook. Okay, so I'll follow the rule here. There are some exceptions where you might need that pawn to push forward or something, but I think in this case, just opening this up makes sense. Okay, we already talked about this. This just loses a pawn. So the question is, which way should I take? And they both look good. I would love to get my knight on d6. That's a nice square. But I think in general, the bishop's going to be more valuable in the attack. So we'll take this way, keep the bishop alive. Okay? And queen g5. Okay, what's the threat? This. They're both defended. It's not actually threatening anything immediately. Maybe h5 is coming or something like that. But I don't think I need to panic. So we could drop our bishop back and then play e4 and unleash the other guy. I like that. Do I have any other ways to attack this queen? Not really. I mean, this is a very slow plan. So yeah, I think we just need to drop the bishop back. Now, the big question, do I go all the way back so that I can play queen c2 and threaten checkmate here? Or do I just go back to c2 because I'm going to want my rook to come into the game? It's not an easy question to answer. There's also, actually, now that I'm looking at this, there's also queen f3, attacks here. They would probably play rook b8. And then we slide the queen over here and play h4 to kick the queen that way. And then we just play bishop d2 and line up our rooks and we attack with the pawns over here. So there's a lot of ways we could do this. And that's kind of appealing too, because h4, g5 looks good. Yeah, because if I do drop back, it does allow black to get this nice diagonal, which maybe we don't want to allow. Okay, so upon further investigation, I'm kind of leaning towards queen f3. f6, I think we could just take and take and take here. It's a little bit tricky. Dun, 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 dun. I could even just slide over. Yeah, actually f6 is an interesting move. I'm torn. I'm going to play queen f3. There's a lot of ways we could approach this. Probably overthinking it at this point. So let's just play queen f3 and go with this plan. But yeah, I don't know. We'll just see what happens here. The only reason I'm hesitant is because I think f6 might be an annoying move because attacking with the rook here is kind of a good idea for black. I'm still not sure exactly how I'm going to respond. There's this line where I take, they take, and I sack my queen for 2 rooks, which generally is okay to do. So I may do that. The other option would be to just play queen g3. Okay, yeah, they do respond, which is what I was kind of expecting, but okay. Let's go queen g3. Like I said, I'm going to play h4 to kick the queen. And Then we can continue with bishop d2, get the rooks involved. My bishop's very powerful. Okay, now they play f6. Ooh. So what was I going to do anyway? h4. And where was black's queen going to have to go when I did that? Back this way? And look what they've done. You guys see that, right? Look what they've done. That's a huge mistake because now h4 just traps their queen. Oh no. Oh no. Well, that's it. That's the game right there. I wasn't expecting it to end that way. Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. You know what's really crazy about this, guys? They don't even, like, a lot of times when you lose a queen, you can, like, sack it for a piece. You get a bishop or you get a knight or a rook or something. They don't even get that. They're only going to get a pawn. Anywhere you move the queen, I'm going to take it with a pawn, essentially. That's, even here, I take with a pawn. You don't even get a bishop. It's wild. Wow. I mean, any kind of queen trap is good, but this is, like, one of the better ones I've seen in a while. So it just goes to show, as powerful as queens are, if you totally block their diagonals, you know, they're in trouble. Okay, so he's trying to get a piece for it, actually, which I did not consider this move. So he's saying, if you take me, I'm jumping in with my knight, I do get a piece. If I take the knight, then he's going to save his queen. So that's actually smart. But what if I just move my bishop? Is the queen still trapped? That's my question. I think the answer is yes. So we'll just go back. No need to panic. We'll be patient. Don't even need to give him the bishop. And we'll just get the queen for free. All right? Of course, you know, nothing wrong if you just take the queen, but then you have to deal with the pesky knight and you lose your bishop. I'd rather just not even worry about that. Okay, so he jumps in. So now he is threatening to save his queen. And so I think now is the moment. We take it. This knight's not really doing much. This would just be a trade. Of course, I could take it next turn if I want to. And there we go. Okay, so I'm ahead. Trading is usually good when you're ahead. And so let's go ahead. We'll trade that. We'll trade this. We'll play bishop d2. Get the rook over here and probably use the rook and the queen to checkmate the king pretty soon. Okay, let's go rook f1. Get the open file. Let's see. I think queen f3. So we stop rook f8 and we're threatening queen f7. And that's going to be a fork. Okay, he doesn't really stop me. So I think I'm going to go there, although he does get away. We take here. That's pretty good. Or I just play e4, d5. Maybe that's even better because d5 is really annoying for the bishop. We still have total control. The rook can't really do anything. Okay, so he runs. Now we can go d5. And these pawns are very, very powerful. We can take this with the check if we want. No, he stops that. Let's set a little trap. c4. You guys see it? What am I going to do? That's correct. There's a little fork. So we just set the trap. Now we can take the bishop. And, okay, they do resign. They do. I was going to say probably pushing the pawns was the easiest, but they do resign. All right, let's go to game review. Okay, 91, so not too bad. Let's go to the next game. We'll probably get black. Okay, so we get black. So now you can see the Owens defense. So I will play b6. And they played d3. Okay, so yeah, this is... okay, they're not doing normal stuff. Usually, people are getting 2 pawns in the center. This person is doing all kinds of crazy things. Now, whenever somebody creates weaknesses on a particular color square, okay? For example, this. These dark squares are weak. Why? Because they've moved their pawns. Pawns attack diagonally, right? So the control that you had diagonally on all these dark squares is now gone. You have a lot of control on the light squares, right? But you have not a lot of control on the dark squares. So queen f6 is kind of almost a really good move. The rook can't move. The bishop can't block. The knight can't block. I think the only move would be c3. Now, unfortunately, that's still a move. So maybe queen f6 is not the best move, but it's almost really, really good. Check. Then, yeah, it doesn't quite work for me, but you want to be paying attention. And you know what I could do? I could play there, set up a trap. The problem is d4 would be a move. Yeah, okay. So I don't think it quite works for us, guys, unfortunately. But you want to consider those things. So since it doesn't seem to be working, I guess we probably just need to develop. The question is, how am I going to do that? And I think I'll play d5. I'll just strike at the center. That's generally a good plan. And I'm leaving this option open because maybe my opponent plays some move that makes it work. They do play bishop to b2. So should I go for this trade? Well, for one, it's a free pawn, so yes. And two, my opponent's going to lose castling rights, which is a good thing for me. Okay, and so I am going to go for that trade. Opponent is sending me emojis, probably because I'm playing too slow. They play knight d2. Okay, I'm going to just keep taking it. It opens up my bishop. It's a free pawn, so I'm pretty happy to do that. Okay, let's develop some pieces. Which one should I do? Well, this bishop's really nice. So maybe I don't block it just yet. Let's develop this guy first. Also, then I don't have to worry about this. And now my bishop can come out. Okay? So our position is looking pretty nice. He does take me. Wow. All right, so which way should I take? Probably with the queen, because now we're creating more threats along those weak squares, right? So he tries to defend, but now I can keep the pressure up with bishop b4. Could also go bishop c5, threatening this, but that's pretty easy to deal with d4. So let's go bishop b4, attack the weak spots, right? And let's see what I'm going to do next. Yeah, he defends. I'd like to get my knight out. Let's go ahead and do that. I'm getting ready to castle. I think I will castle this way because it immediately activates my rook. That's one of the bonuses that you get when you castle queenside, right? The rook gets activated immediately. Now, something should jump out in your mind right away when you see that. Okay, this is important when you're playing chess. Some people overlook this. What should jump out at you? Hopefully you set this knight on c3. So, this is how you want to play chess, and it makes it so much easier, right? As the game goes on, you need to be tracking with everything that's happening, okay? So when I go here, what's happening with the game? Well, I'm creating a threat on the knight. 2 attackers, 1 defender. So when he goes here, what's he doing? Well, he's defending it. Now there's 2 and 2. Okay. Even though the game is going to go on, I should, in my mind, keep that information. Like, this is stuck. And it's defended by these 2 pieces, right? So as soon as I go here and I see this, immediately I should be like, oh, that's, you can't do that. It was defending and now it's not. So you just ruined this position, right? And what happens is a lot of people somehow forget that. And they think to themselves, oh, what's his knight doing? No, okay. And then they play some random move like castling. And they forget, no, the knight was tied up guarding the other knight. You have to remember this. So my opponent is saying I'm too slow. Oh, by the way, and I didn't even see this. That's also a free knight, but I'm just really focused on this right now. So I'm taking this one first. But yeah, there's also a free knight. My opponent is upset with my slow play. All right, which one should we take? Of course, the rook is better, so we take the rook. King e2, wow. So instead of blocking with the queen, he brings the king up. So when a king moves forward, obviously you should look like, well, can I attack the king? So let's start with the checks. Okay, we have queen here. Looks pretty good. Attacks the knight. We have knight here. Looks pretty good. Forces him here. Only move. Do I have a follow-up checkmate or something? We have a check. He goes back. We have a check. We take the knight. I mean, yeah, I guess we can reposition the knight. Let's go ahead. So we'll jump the knight in. I'm going to take this knight later. I'm just noticing that I'm going to be able to force this king up. Yeah, and now I think we will go here. I could also castle and get the rook involved. But I think this is fine. I'm just debating, do I want to go here and take the knight, or do I want to do something else? Castling almost looks like it's even more powerful, but a free knight is a free knight. So we'll take the knight. We'll take the free knight. But I think castling queenside would have been great too, because it activates the rook. But this is a fork, so we'll do that. Of course, only move. You can't go here because the bishop. Yeah, you have to go there. So we can take it with check. And maybe now's the time, right? Maybe now's the time we bring in more pieces. Of course, there is a free pawn, but he can just block. Actually, then we do have this check. No, I want the rook to be involved. Let's castle. I think we just need the rook, and now we can really start looking for checkmate because we have all these pieces. Okay, and they do abandon the game. Let's check how we did here. Ooh, 97. All right. So playing some pretty good games. Now, to be fair, it's easier, like I've said this before, it's easier to play high accuracy games when your opponents are making relatively obvious blunders because it's, you know what to do, right? You know what Stockfish is going to say the best move is because, oh, there's a free piece. You take it, right? It's a lot easier. When they don't play bad moves, it's like, I have to figure out what the best move is. So, yeah, I don't think we need to analyze that anymore. Let's go to the next game. Okay, we are black again, playing against an 899. And we just crossed 900. I just noticed. We're 905. All right. Way to go. B6. That's a safe pre-move. You can also start with E6. It doesn't really matter. I usually like to fianchetto this, but you could like play E6 and they might think you're playing the French defense if you want to throw them off, and then you play B6. You know, it's whatever you want to do. Looks like this game is going to be aborting though, so it's not going to matter. Hardak 69. Joe P does not want to play against Peter-Patzer. All right. Oh, he does. He does want to play against Peter-Patzer. Okay, he just needed 45 seconds before the game started. Okay, I hope that's not a sign of something to come. We will find out. Okay, so I don't like to mess around when there's a bishop here, so I usually will just play e6 right away. Technically, we don't have to. We could wait, but then you always open up yourself to the possibility of a sacrifice, right? Now, in this case, I can tell you the sacrifice is not good, and I would be fine. But then you have to think about it, right? If you don't want to think about it, you just play e6. Like, I don't have to think about it. There's no way you can sacrifice. So that's just something to keep in mind. Sometimes it's just simpler for your brain to play a move like this, even though you could have played this and been fine, but now you have to think, right? Because there are positions where if you let them sacrifice, it's going to be a good move, right? And so, okay, let's go bishop b7, attack the pawn. Oh, they push immediately. Okay, yeah, this is interesting. And I think what we're going to do is play knight f6. So we don't want to leave this here indefinitely. We want to kind of try to attack it because that is pretty annoying for us if it just sits there because we can't develop. So knight f6 attacks the weak spots, and they play f3 immediately. Okay, so speaking of sacrifices, whenever someone pushes this, particularly if you're playing the Owens like this, you always want to consider this queen h4 idea. You say, Nelson, there's a knight blocking. I know, but if I take this, what happens? They take back, I go check. Okay, I'm attacking their king. If they go here, very common trap where you can get the rook. Now the problem is, takes, check. I think they could just move their king. and I don't really have a good follow-up. I mean, yes, I can get another pawn. So if I want to sack my knight for 2 pawns and an attack on the king, which maybe I do, that's probably actually reasonable. But I'm also noticing something else, guys. This bishop is undefended. Do you see any way we could potentially take advantage of that? Well, there's this really wild move, knight d5. And I'm basically saying, well, of course they're going to take me with the pawn, but when they do, aha, aha, aha. Okay, so that's a fancy way to do it. You see how that works? And then if they take back, of course I can just take, and I guess it's technically a trade, but it's probably a decent trade for me. Yeah, we'll do it. We'll do it. We'll get rid of the annoying pawn. Oh, and they do take back right away. If they would have taken with the bishop, maybe it was a little better. So here we go. There's the check. And now we can snag the bishop. Okay. And so turns out the opponent was not doing anything suspicious in the first few seconds. So the reason I say that, guys, if you're wondering, is I'm trying to think. This is a tough decision. I think I'm going to take this way so that I can castle and maybe attack the queen. The reason I say that is because sometimes when people are going to cheat, obviously my opponent is not, but sometimes when they are going to, when the game starts, they like disappear for like a minute. And then they're setting up something on the side, and then they come back and, obliterate you off the board. That's happened to me more than once. So I just didn't know if that was what was happening. Obviously not, because they're making mistakes. Okay. So, like I said, I want to get this rook here. I also noticed the king is very weak and exposed, so I'm thinking about bishop c5 to just kind of put my bishop in a good place there. Bishop b4 to attack this. That's easy to deal with, though. So I think bishop here is probably one of the best squares for my bishop. This is also annoying. Ooh, okay, I was just going to say the knight was defending this. Now you've moved it. Again, it goes back to that same thing I was saying, right? You have to be tracking with the game, right? So the game is telling me, okay, this is defended for the moment by these. This is a weak area of the board. So this is probably what I want to do. If I go here, that's an easy threat to deal with bishop d2. I'd like to get my rook here. So you're thinking about all these things. You play your move. And as soon as your opponent plays something, you should kind of have an idea of where to focus because you've been tracking with the game. And I was tracking with this. So I'm like, okay, wait a second. Oh yeah, that just looks like it blunders this pawn. Probably the move I'm going to play. Now, maybe there's something else more important that I should look for, but that looks pretty good. He's going to have to move his rook, and then you can't castle. I guess actually they could castle. No, they can't castle. There's a bishop there. Never mind. Yeah, so you have to move your rook. Okay. So I'm also wondering, like, can I just trap the rook? We've got the bishop. Looks like he only has one square right here. Unfortunately, it's still a square. Maybe I don't want to do that and force the rook there because then I have to move my queen. My queen doesn't have a lot of squares. That's interesting. My queen would probably have to go back here. A little awkward. So yeah, maybe I don't want to do that. I don't know if it helps that my bishop is just randomly sitting on g2. Would I rather it be like somewhere here? I think I would. c6 looks pretty good because I want to put my knight here and castle. Okay, so we'll go back to c6. But like, so the position is telling me like I have a very aggressive position. My bishops and my queen are very powerful. Okay, do I want a queen trade? Well, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 3, 4, 5, 3. So I'm up 2 pawns. So trading queens actually makes sense from that perspective. From the perspective of his king is weak and mine is not, trading queens doesn't make sense. So really I could play, a move like queen g4 to keep the queens on the board. Or if I'm happy with going into an endgame where I'm going to be ahead, I could just take it. And I think we've seen a lot of attacking. So let's do an endgame where we just have a couple extra pawns. We'll see how to win that. I think that'll be instructive. So he's going to obviously take back. And this is a weakness for him. So I would like to attack that. I think first priority is to bring my knight into the game and get ready to castle maybe here. Although there's this guy. So Okay, attacking here. Now I could castle. Yeah, so again, I'm tracking with the position. Like I want to castle, but I can't because this. Oh, but he just blocked that for me. Cool. Now I can probably castle, right? There is this bishop g5 move, but I noticed I could play f6 to stop both of the threats, so I'm not worried about it. Okay, he's attacking my bishop. I mean, it's defended, so it's not the end of the world. Of course, I can also just take the knight, but then I have to give up my bishop. Probably don't want to do that. I can throw in a random check. I can play knight f6. No, but then he takes me here. Okay, you know what? Maybe I will take it. Just because I see a way to clear up this file from my rook, which I think is going to be valuable. So we take it. Oh, by the way, I fianchettoed this bishop, but I've already taken his light squared bishop, okay? So I'm more comfortable giving up my light squared bishop because I know he doesn't have a bishop that's going to be able to take advantage of these weaknesses, okay? Those are things that you do want to think about. I don't think I would have made this trade if he still had a light squared bishop, but since he doesn't, I'm okay making it. And I see that after I played knight f6, now my rook is really involved, which is what I want, right? The rooks are the most powerful pieces on the board at this point. And so if I see an opportunity to activate a rook, I'm going to take it. Also, knight f6 makes my knight more active. It attacks a weak pawn. You know, it just kind of feels like it's a good square for my knight. So let's go ahead and do that. There we go. Like I said, we have this. We do have a potential check. Maybe we can invade on the 7th rank if we can figure out something with this bishop. So all these things are going through my mind. All right. So what is Joe going to do? He goes bishop g5. Okay, so he's attacking me here. That's probably a good move. And I have to make a decision now if I want to defend it or try to be more aggressive. And I think I'm going to try to be more aggressive because I'm noticing that you can't actually go here because of a tactic. You guys see that? There's a beautiful fork, which means you have to play knight c3. And then I'm wondering, do I have a tactic where I sacrifice my rook because I take here and end up getting his rook? It's going to get a little complicated, but let's think about this. So knight c3 only move. We get a pawn for free. We lose a rook. We get a knight. If he takes me, yeah, then I'm happy. Question is, what if he doesn't take me? What if he just moves his bishop back somewhere? I'm going to be able to get another. No, I don't want to take that pawn. So essentially, I would get a knight and a pawn for a rook. So it might not actually be worth it. Unless there's a different. I mean, it's probably still fine because I have so many pawns, but maybe it's not the best approach. I don't know what they're thinking about. You have to play knight c3. Bishop d2 obviously loses a piece. This loses a piece, so only moves knight c3. Okay, there they go. Yeah, so this is interesting. Takes. They save their bishop. Actually, no, they can't say. Wow, this is very interesting, guys. So what I'm noticing. Oh, is there bishop e7? No, they can't do that. Could they? They could do that. Wow. Okay. Because then if I take, they actually take my knight. Fascinating. Okay. It's getting complicated. Let's do it. It'll be fun, and we'll still have an interesting endgame. Let's do it. I don't think it actually works in my favor, but it's fine. I want to show what's going on. And I think the endgame will be interesting with a bunch of pawns against the rook. So we'll do it. So I think they should take. And then I'm going to take here. And I think they could actually maybe move their bishop to e7, basically saying, look, I'll trade you. Right? Okay. The interesting thing that I was noticing, oh, no, this line is, I think, fine for me. This line, I think, is fine for me. So we take the fork. And then we just take the rook. I think they should have played something else. We can look at it after the game. Yeah. This is fine because now we just traded a bunch of stuff, but I got some extra pawns. And should I trade the rooks? Absolutely. When you have a king and pawn ending where you have extra pawns and particularly passed pawns like this guy and this guy, you should absolutely trade the rooks because as long as you leave him a rook, you never know what's going to happen. He might come over here. He might start taking all your stuff. He might keep putting you in check forever and ever. Like it just makes everything more complicated. And so absolutely, if you have an opportunity, make the trade and then just go into the winning endgame. So how do you win an endgame like this? Use your passed pawns. They are so valuable because the king is the only thing that can stop them. They're passed pawns, which means no other pawns can stop them. Since this is the only piece on the board that's not a pawn, this is the only piece that can stop it, right? Now, you don't want to go crazy and just push it to here where it just takes you, obviously. But if you can keep it protected, that's the ideal situation. That's what we're going to do. We're probably going to push it to here. Maybe I'll defend it like this. Or maybe I'll push this one and defend it like this. You know, I have so many pawns, I can do whatever I want. But if I only had one pass pawn, like imagine it was 2 against 1 and 2 against 2. What I would do is probably just kind of leave these guys here as the constant threat of maybe making a pass pawn while my king runs over here and takes these pawns. This is what I would probably do. For example, here, something like this. And I know this king has to stay here. When you're only up one pawn, it's a little bit trickier, but it's usually still a win for the side with the extra pawn. In my case, obviously I have 4 extra pawns, so it's a lot easier. But okay, and if you don't want to let the king in, you could play like b5, but I just want to show you guys the simple process. Just run with the king, take the pawns. Okay, and now you do have to be careful because, like, for example, if I were to let him go here, and then here and here and here and here, and I did like nothing, you know, he could win. So the simple thing, just get rid of it. Just get rid of it. Go take these guys, and then you have 4 pawns and you can win. He's obviously the king has to stay here and take these, right? Okay, and you could push whatever pawn you want. This one, you make a box. The king is not able to get in the box, so he's not able to catch me. I can also push this one because my king could sort of shield his king from getting there. Whatever you want to do, I'll just push this one all the way up. Get the queen, and you can checkmate with the king and a queen, or simpler is to get another queen or a rook. Just do not stalemate. That's the only thing. Don't stalemate. So the way that I'm going to check, does he have a place for his king to move if I go? Yes. He can move here. Okay, fine. I'll get a queen. And if you don't want to stalemate, just make sure every move is with check. 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 I'm doing the ladder mate, but I'm doing it with checks to make sure I don't stalemate. Because if you don't do it with checks, you could stalemate. And I'll show you an example. Check. If for some reason, I just move my queen here, that's a stalemate. I don't win. It's also not a check. So I'm not going to do that. So what am I going to do? That's right. A check. And now that it's a check, I know there's no stalemate. He has to move, and then I can get checkmate on whatever square. Okay. It's not a pre-move. It's funny. I don't think we can pre-move this because if he goes here, I'm going to like checkmate this way. But if you go there and I move that, it's actually a stalemate. And here, yeah, I guess there's like no pre-movable forced checkmate in this position. That's fascinating. Okay, game review. All right, 83, we had a brilliant move. What was a brilliant move? Oh, it was knight takes d5, yeah. Yeah, it was the knight takes d5. Nice little tactic there. Okay, cool. All right, we get black again. So one more Owen's defense. We'll play b6 and bishop b7. Oh, wow. Queen f3. Okay. I'm still going to play bishop b7. You can't do that because I'll take your queen, so that's fine. And there might be a checkmate threat. Okay, there it is. We don't really care. This is what we play anyway, e6. Don't have to worry about that in the Owen's defense, so we're fine. Okay. I think I'm going to just attack the pawn because it can't move. So it's kind of a nice little target for us. So let's play knight f6 and attack it. And okay, they pin us. So now we have to think about this. Then the general response against bishop g5 is going to be like bishop e7 to just break the pin. I'm just thinking if there's any crazy moves. Okay, actually, we should calculate this because we might be able to win a pawn. So it's worth pausing and calculating. So how do we do this? If I go here, what are the two moves that are most common top priority that we should at least calculate? Queen takes and bishop takes, right? This is how you want to, like, when you're calculating and analyzing in chess, this is what you want to do. Start with the top most common and you work your way down. What's the most common? Okay, he just takes me. I take him. He takes my queen. I take him. What happened? Well, I lost my bishop. I lost my queen. But I got a pawn, a knight, and a queen. Sorry, a pawn, a queen, and a bishop. That's good. I won a pawn. So that line checks out. Great. The line that I'm not sure about is if the bishop takes me first. Now I take his queen. He has to take my queen, otherwise he's going to be down a queen. Okay. And now what's the situation? Well, I'm temporarily down a piece, right? Because I got a queen and a pawn, but he's got a queen and a knight. However, it's my turn. I could take here. Now, if I didn't take there and I just took his bishop, I'm in trouble. Okay? So you guys see that? I only got a pawn and lost a knight. But if I take here, I'm trapping his rook. His bishop doesn't have the same option. He could take a pawn, but then I get a rook. But I actually end up getting a rook, two pawns, and a queen, and he gets a knight, a pawn, and a queen. Like that. Okay, so it actually does look like this move checks out. So rather than playing the default bishop e7 like I was going to, I think I should do this. So that's why you pause and actually calculate, because sometimes you don't realize you can actually get away with it. So I think we can. And it's important that you trust yourself. If you calculate it, things work out, play the move. I went through this phase growing up where I would calculate something, it would look good, but I would still be afraid. I would in the back of my mind, like, I probably missed something. I probably didn't calculate, and I would spend this extra 2, 3, 4, 5 minutes before I would actually make the move. Bad habit. Okay. Calculate everything that you need to calculate and then play the move and have confidence in yourself. Now, does that mean you're never going to make mistakes? No, of course. And sometimes you miss something, but you have to at least build your confidence. And next time, just make a mental note. Oh yeah, last time I forgot to check that. Let me do that, right? Okay, we already calculated this. I said I was going to take, and if he takes me, I'm going to take back. Great. I won a pawn, right? Three pieces, everything is good. We traded queens, but I won a pawn. Awesome. The other line was more tricky if he would have taken first, but he didn't do it. Okay, so if I take, is that a good move for me? Absolutely not. That's an easy one to see. We get forked right away. And so we need a different move. I'm not worried about this. That's very well defended. So probably need to develop a piece. Can I develop and attack at the same time? Yes, I can. Bishop to c5. Always good to look for those multi-purpose moves, right? Accomplish multiple things at the same time. Bishop c5. Why did I not go check? Because c3 makes me waste a move. I have to go back, right? So I don't want to do that. Okay, so he goes there. He's defending, but he has to put his knight on an awkward square. The problem in my position is this knight. So what I need to figure out is how do I get this knight developed quickly? Because this is a bit of a problem here, right? Because of the fork. So let's think about this. I would like to play d6 and move my knight here. But if I do that, I'm going to lose a pawn. Or am I? Or am I? I might have a really fancy, I think I actually do have a really fancy move. Uh-huh. Question is, does it work? Yes, it does work. Okay. So here we go, guys. This is I'm following the game, right? The game is telling me, okay, I need to get this bishop, this knight out. This is my last undeveloped piece. I would like to move it out here. I can't. I maybe would move it here. It's on the edge of the board, but I can't anyway, which means I have to move it here. The only way to move it there is to push the pawn. Okay, so I'm going to push the pawn and move the knight right there. Wait a second. If I push the pawn now, this is no longer defended. Looks like I'm losing a pawn, right? A lot of people would just stop calculating and say, yep, can't do it, lost a pawn. But there's a bishop and a king on the same file, and I actually do have a rook that can go there. Wait a second. Now you say, well, there's a knight in the way. Well, yes, but this is still worth considering, because if I go there and the bishop, let's just say, moves all the way back, now we have a rook and a knight on an open file on a king. Do you guys see what I can do? That's correct. I have a lot of good moves. One of them would be check here, and I win a rook. Now, I realize this might be too complex for some people watching this video, but the important thing that you understand is that it's not really hard. It's not really that difficult what I'm doing. I'm just saying, like, I want to do this to get my knight out. I can't because I lose a pawn. Wait a second. What if I had some trick where I could get away with that? I think I do. Okay, let's play d6. This is what strong players do. They know what moves they want to play, and then sometimes, even though it looks like they can't, they find a way to make it work, right? They find a way to make it work. Now, there was a couple of other lines that I didn't show you guys yet that I was also calculating. Takes, here, check. The bishop d5 one was important, right? Because bishop d5 was this annoying fork, right? But when my knight is here with the rook, I had this one. Check. And then my knight takes his bishop. So it worked out in my favor. So my opponent doesn't even look like really calculates that, which is fine. And I'll make the trade. Remember, I'm up a pawn, so I'm happy to make a trade like that. And now, since I'm following the game, the only reason why they couldn't win a pawn here was because I had this pin. I don't have it anymore, which means now I do have to deal with this. And so I'll just push by. I'll just get rid of that. Now, I could have probably also maybe moved my king, but then I didn't want to walk into this. So, okay. All right, what's happening? Defended? Not defended. So I need to figure out a way to defend this. How about king goes here? And there's one thing about this bishop that you should notice, which is that it doesn't have any retreat squares. Whenever a piece doesn't have any way to retreat, it's always at danger of getting trapped. Okay. Speaking of which, because I'm already kind of thinking ahead, I'm not surprised by this move. And I'm like, oh yeah, he's about to trap me. Let me plan for that. Now I'm thinking I could take this, but then the rook comes over with this threat. Don't love that. I could try to chase the knight first, play f5, and then maybe trade it. We have a knight and a bishop. Yeah, I would like that. The position's kind of locked up. So I'm going to counterattack. That's why I'm not worried about this, because I am making a counterattack, so it's okay. And when he goes here, I'm going to make another counterattack. And if we get a trade, well, of course, I don't have to worry about my bishop getting trapped if it's traded off, right? So knight here, f5 looks very good, forcing the knight back. Actually, there's knight g6. G6. Okay, it's not trapped because I could go here. So I think we would be okay. But this is important. Yeah, so let's play f5. What I'm noticing is here, g6, b4, we could take on f2. Looks like it's trapped, but it's not because we have the f2 pawn. So we're okay. And this way I gain more space and I get to be aggressive. Okay, I'll play g6. I just wanted to support my pawn. And like I said, we will... Okay, so he sees that as well and plays there. So now this, again, is a risk. And so I guess we have to play a5 followed by a4. Yeah, I think that's what we do. Okay, so we're going to play a5. Of course, if they go there now, we just take, right? And if white plays a3 and says, no, I'm trapping your bishop whether you like it or not, we have this really handy trick, a4. And we make use of the special move in chess en passant, where if they put, this is probably one of the most useful times of en passant, when you're trying to blockade 2 pawns. Okay, he didn't play it, but I would have played a4. And if you play b4, en passant, get rid of the pawn. And so it like guarantees that you can't push on and attack my bishop, essentially. And okay, while we're talking about this, just pause everything about the video and only think about this for just 1 second, guys. This is the only thing I'm talking about. Can he trap my bishop? No, because I take it. I'm worried about this, though, and he's going to go here. No, I'm not, because I have this that I just explained I have en passant. If you get ahead of yourself and you play it immediately, then he can play b4, because now when you en passant, he recaptures with a pawn, and guess what? Next move, it's coming again. And now you actually have no way to stop it. You have to find a new solution. So the way to deal with this is just leave it. Just leave it, because if this happens now, we just take. And only when the pawn pushes, then you go there. Because now when this happens, we en passant, there is no pawn to recapture because it's already been moved forward. He has to take with the bishop, and he's the one with the weak pawn structure, okay? I know that was a lot, but very, very useful like little tidbit, I think. So I wanted to just take the time. Okay, now we have to hurry up. I have 2 minutes. And we're only up 1 pawn. Still a long way to go in this game, especially with opposite color bishops. So ideally what I would like to do is either trade my bishop for this knight or trade this knight for this bishop. I do not want an opposite color bishop ending, especially when I'm low on time. Okay, so I'm going to be looking for opportunities, probably e4, knight e5, to trade this knight for this bishop somehow. Or like I said, this bishop for this knight. I do have a lot of space here. I could probably play g5 and then e4. Okay, there you go. There you go. And because that idea that I explained to you guys, we already know what we're going to play. There you go. That's the move. Easy, right? Easy solution to a sometimes... There you go. Exactly the way we talked about. En passant. I'm glad we got to see this. Look at that. He thought he was trapping me. Our opponent probably didn't know about this. And now their position falls apart, right? Yeah, that like lesson right there alone was probably worth the price of admission for this video. Because that comes up like more often than you think, that little idea. Okay, and bonus for us, now we've got the A file. And so the strategy totally changes. I was going to be doing stuff like pushing these pawns and trying to jump my knight in, but now that we've got this file, that's all I care about right now is this guy. So, because now the rooks can invade and white's in big trouble. Rook's going to go to the second rank. Always a good place for a rook. Look at all those targets for us. I'm also going to, b5 and jumping my knight here looks really good. You could attack me though, and it would be a little bit annoying to defend. All right, let's go ahead and get on the second rank. We can't go wrong with that. I could have taken a pawn too. I probably should have taken the pawn. But this is still really good. You know, this is still fine. Okay, so he does do that. We have this idea. That bishop would be very good. Okay, I don't like giving up the square. But because I'm getting a nice one in return, I think it's fine. Also, it's pinned at the moment, so you can't take advantage of this right away. So yeah, bishop e3 looks very good. Oh, that was a good stretch. All right. Yep. There we go. Bishop goes in. We're going to win the rook. I say we're going to win the rook. We almost have checkmate. He only has 1 square. We might actually have... only move. Check takes check here. Guys, is it... Hold on. They're just... It's hard to pass up a rook, but I really feel like we're about to have checkmate. So I'm going to go for it. I'm going to play this. Hopefully I'm not missing something, but in my mind, I'm thinking b5 check, check, checkmate. You guys see that? That's what I am thinking, and I don't know how they're going to stop it. Because even if you save your rook, Then I just actually get a free bishop, which is even better. And I don't know what they're going to do about this. This is a really big deal. B5. Check. Mate. Yeah, it's a mate. It's a mating net, I think. We'll see if they can figure out a way to not get checkmated in the next, what, 1, 2, 3 moves? Can they stop my checkmate in 3? 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay, yeah, they do stop it because they could just take me. Yeah. So I have to take the bishop. Still, very good for me, but they did stop the checkmate. So well played to the opponent for noticing what I was trying to do. Well played. But now that the bishop's gone, again, we may have some checkmating opportunities. Let's see. Check. And then they have to go here. Oh, they could play rook b4. They don't. They'll take this. I might lose on time trying to find a checkmate. I think I need to take this square away, so I'm probably going to need to move my king over. We're so close. The issue is check, check. They go here. Wow. king just runs and hides behind my pawn. It's amazing. So yeah, I do think I need to take this away. So I think we have to go there. What's happening? What's happening, guys? That's a pretty good move, actually. Wow, that's actually not a bad move at all. I'm going to have to get a little fancy here. I might lose on time. All right. We got to just go. I don't see a checkmate, so we have to just go, unfortunately. We just have to go. "15 seconds. It's enough to win, but it's amazing that I couldn't find a checkmate. It's amazing. I'm setting up this discovered check. I need to get a queen, actually. I really need to get a queen. Oh, I could have taken that. I didn't even see it. I didn't even see it, guys. Okay, we take that. We save our knight. We get a queen. That's the way to win. We have to force the king out of there. Come in with our king. Push this. Push this. Get the queen. And there's no stalemate because they have the pawn, so we don't have to worry about stalemate. So that's the nice thing. Oh, that's checkmate? Checkmate? Oh, that is checkmate. Wow, I forgot that the knight and bishop were... Ooh, okay. Huh. Well, yeah, that's checkmate. All right, game review. I'm really curious if there was actually a checkmate there when I thought there was one. Let's go see what Stockfish says. Okay, so it's a pretty good game. Let's see that end part. Yeah, that was a mistake because bishop takes e4. So it's important that you stop and look at that. And the line that I was showing you guys was you get the rook. And so it's a good trade for us. Okay, anyway. Yeah, this one. Oh, Stockfish says they could have taken. I'm just... Oh, okay. Stockfish says you take and then you don't take again. You just castle, right? Because if you take again, you're in trouble. Rook e8. Right? This is what I was showing you guys. We have knight g3 check, and we win the rook. Also, if they try to do any shenanigans here, we can just go like this and take the bishop. Okay. Anyway, we talked about the en passant trick there. And then there is a forced checkmate. There is a forced checkmate, guys. Mate in 4 for white. Oh, wow. The idea makes total sense, but it's kind of hard. Yeah, okay. If you had a chance to look at that, the move is e4. Well, this is also leads to mate, but it's longer. The fast checkmate is e4. Now, the first point is that if they take with the king, this is checkmate immediately, which I did not see. Look at that. Look at these pawns. These pawns are heroes. Pawn is defending here and here and here. This pawn's in the way. This pawn's in the way. Bishop, knight. Wow. Beautiful checkmate. Okay. And if they take with the pawn, then this is checkmate because you've opened up the e5 square. Oh my goodness. Look at that. It's so nice. Wow, e4 check. So you can't take either way because it's immediately mate with the knight. So you have to run this way, but now, in the game, remember I put my knight on c5. Now this square is open. I can put my knight here. I don't know if you guys remember, the line that I kept looking at where the king was escaping was like coming down here, right? Well, now we've got all of those squares cut off. So this is simply checkmate. Got the rooks here, and the knight and the bishop over here. Wow. That is beautiful. So I missed e4. Now, even after that, knight c5, there was still a checkmate here. Oh, and the move, I was sort of on the right track. I was on the right track with b5, but I played the wrong move. I played this. What do you guys think the move is? Rook b2. It's the same idea. You want to use the pawn to checkmate. But you remember how he stopped me? You can't stop me with rook b1 anymore. This is just checkmate immediately now. So the only move is knight d4, giving up this piece. I just take it. You take back, which gives you this square. But then I take that away with rook a3. Then you play bishop b3, but I take that. And now finally, you can't stop the pawn checkmate. All of white's moves were just delaying this pawn checkmate, which I saw, but I just didn't see the right way. So it just goes to show you those little details make a big difference, right? Like the fact that the rook could go to b1 was a significant thing, and I didn't see that, so I should have played here instead of here. Wow. But no, this one on e4, this is amazing. You have both directions that the king runs. The knight goes the other way, and it's instantly going to lead to checkmate. And then this one is also immediate. I mean, that is just so nice. Wow. All right, guys. Don't forget, there's a Black Friday sale. I don't know if it's still active, actually. It might still be active. It might be the last day today for my Breaking 1500 course. I teach some more about those openings. And yeah, definitely check that out if you are interested. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you learned something. As always, stay sharp, play smart, take care.